up against the German Air Force. This is the P-47, the Thunderbolt, a fast, tough, high-altitude fighter with a dive like its name and an 8-gun blast in its wings. Here is the Lightning, the P-38, master of the air in many theaters of war. The long range and concentrated firepower of this great fighter counted in Western Europe, too. The Mustang, the P-51, longest range fighter in the world. Speed, fast climb, quick dive, tight turn. A fighter pilot's dream. Into these three great fighters, America poured its genius, its millions of man-hours of labor, its faith in victory against the Luftwaffe. And in their single cockpits, it placed its carefully chosen sons, trained to a fighting edge, trained as never before. Here is their report, catch as catch could by their own gun cameras in the instant of action, and delivered in return for your toil and your treasure and your high hopes.
Today, the huge missions over Europe must be carefully and elaborately planned. Our flyers can expect any trip to develop into a major air battle. At a dozen scattered airfields, the bombers are assembled and moved to the starting lines. Takeoff time. And the imposing forts and liberators thunder into the gray English dawn. They take off on split-second schedule. For war in the air is so swift that a few moments' error may mean a missed rendezvous. The fighter fields, Thunderbolts are ready. They set out to meet the bombers, followed by twin-engine Lightnings. The two groups make rendezvous over the English Channel, and with the fighters patrolling the skies around the bomber formation, the Air Armada moves into enemy territory. News of the approaching air invasion is flashed through the German warning system. Coastal anti-aircraft batteries fill the skies with high explosives. Alarm sirens wail over the German fighter fields, and pilots sprint to their planes. In a few minutes, deadly Focke-Wulfs and Me-109s are on their way to challenge our men in planes. Our fighters peel off to meet the enemy threat, and the battle is on.
spite of the Luftwaffe, Allied planners selected our targets according to Allied Air Force priorities. That's why, merely 3 hours after the 4th Bomb Wing had paralyzed the Nazis' Messerschmitt factory at Regensburg, we in the 1st Bomb Wing were on our way to strike Schweinfurt in the face of an aroused enemy. As we began to run into flak, our gunners could feel the entire German Air Force warming up. Flying in enemy territory, we felt like goldfish in a bowl, waiting for the attack. Strict radio silence was maintained, while trained eyes searched the sky.
Unleashed every trick. The B-17 suffered the most savage blows since the war began.
Although Jerry knocked 20 bombers out of the sky on the road to Schweinfurt, we never broke formation. Despite the ferocity of the attack, which extended all the way to and from the target, we pressed forward. Our guns kept burning the enemy out of the sky. Approaching the bomb run began the most critical defensive period. Now we divided into smaller groups, sacrificing our mutual defensive firepower to bomb the target most efficiently. The crucial moment. The moment around which the entire mission revolved was now in the steady hands of our bombardiers. After getting 80 hits on the 2 main ball-bearing plants, we could defend ourselves again, at least to the extent of evasive action against flak and fighter attack. But the main idea now is to get home fast.
Somewhere out there over enemy territory, near or far on the long route as the bombers go out and come home, each of these fighter formations will make rendezvous with them at a certain point on the exact minute. These Thunderbolts climb steadily over the channel and into hostile air. They keep fairly close together to prevent wandering and to save gas, that all-important item for the long-range escort fighter. He can't borrow a couple of coupons over Frankfurt or Cologne. Now they open up into battle formation, fairly line abreast. Each pair, leader and wingman, never willingly separated, is a combat element. 4 planes are a flight, 8 a section, 16 a squadron, 3 squadrons a group, all working together because it's teamwork every second or die. Just as simple as that. Close to rendezvous now, and in the distance are the bombers. Advanced formations of the perhaps 100-mile-long armada. The Thunderbolts maneuver for their escort position. Each pilot searches the sky constantly, watching for the main enemy attack which may come near the coast or deep in Germany, or a hit-and-run sneak attack by the enemy's aerial snipers.
Red leader to outpost. Bogies at 10 o'clock level. Outpost to red leader. Your bogies look like friendly Spitfires.
But these black darts are not friendly.
This is red leader. All right, men on the ball. This is it. 109's at 9 o'clock. Yellow leader to outpost. One fog wolf coming in. Outpost to red leader. Can we get them? It's our turn, Chief. Red leader to outpost. White flight drop tanks and attack. Red flight stay up for cover. Yellow flight continue to escort.
Red flight gets rid of its long-range wing tanks before the fight. Then down they go. The sneak attackers try to run for it now, but the Thunderbolts are on them. With the touch of the finger on the stick, a camera and 8 machine guns are put into action. Small cameras set on the wings make the rain. Poor pictures due to gun vibration. But you see it when it happened, as the pilot saw it. Armor-piercing incendiary 50 caliber ammunition makes a flash when it strikes, and how it strikes. Bombers, ready with their own guns for anything that slips through, didn't need them this time. All over now, just a skirmish, part of the escort routine. The flight reforms and climbs to regain its position with the rest of the squadron. In the distance, coming in to relieve the Thunderbolts, is a group of Mustangs.
This is red leader. Okay, men, it's time to break escort. Mustangs coming in at 8 o'clock.
The Thunderbolts break escort. They head for home, watching for every possible strafing target on the way. The Mustangs, far in the distance, sweep the surrounding sky as they come in. Next to the belly or wing tank, which doubled the fighter range, the most important feature of long-range fighter escort was the relay system. Because of differences in bomber and fighter speeds and the need of much weaving, fighters used up their time and distance almost twice as fast as the bombers. Thus, the same group of fighters could remain with the bombers only 25 to 40 minutes out of a 6 or 8 hour mission, going and coming. And 1,000 fighters might be needed to keep anything from 40 to 100 on the job at all times. While the enemy could strike with 250 at any point he selected, our fighter groups had to relieve one another at rendezvous points all along the route, like this. Simple in diagram, but difficult in the limitless, often weather-blinded spaces of the enemy air. It took planning, leadership, and most of all, it took individual fighting skill and courage to match the enemy's tactical advantages. Forewarned an hour and a half by his radar as our bombers gained altitude over England, he had plenty of time to mass his fighters at his chosen point of attack and to outnumber our escort at anything from 2 to 1 to 10 to 1. This captured film shows how quickly the 109s and the Focke-Wulf 190s got into action. They were as grimly determined to stop these great daylight thrusts into their industrial heart as our bombers and fighters were resolved to press them home to the hilt. In Germany now, weaving ahead, above, below, and all around the bombers like a screen of destroyers protecting the main fleet. A group of escorting Mustangs watches every corner of the sky. They don't have long to wait. Ceaseless training plus battle experience has taught them to recognize the enemy almost by instinct. Where they are, how they act. First hostile aircraft is spotted.
Blue leader here. Watch it, fellows. 109 to 10 o'clock.
The enemy fighters are massing for an attack on the bombers while our pilots watch every move of their very tactics.
Yellow leader to blue flight. Looks like they're trying to lead us away from the bombers. Green leader here. You're right. Here comes another. 9 o'clock. Blue leader here. Blue flight drop tanks. Yellow and green flight stay up for cover.
The Mustangs drop wing tanks and plunge into the fight. The head-on dive through the fortress's formation is a favorite. So fast sometimes and so many, our fighters cannot head all of them off. The Huns make a sneak attack on our bombers from behind. Some of them get in close, as this captured enemy gun camera film shows, and hammer our bombers with their 20 millimeters. It's punishing, but they shall pay. The Mustangs are in the thick of it, and the battle ranges all over the sky as other formations join in. The Jerrys attack in waves and sometimes inflict great damage before they're driven off. P-17 catches fire and goes down in flames. The German pilots are determined. So are ours. To the death. Tail shot off, but still going ahead. And still they come. We lose another, but they cannot stop us. Our fighters, often heavily outnumbered, engage the enemy all over the sky. And this battle is only one of many. Day after day, month after month, Mustang, Thunderbolt, Lightning, against the ME-109s and the FW-190s. Our fighters attacked, attacked. 2 into 10, 6 into 50. They broke up the enemy's mass assaults. Then his shattered flights were pounced upon and destroyed individually. Our victory column soared at the rate of 4 to 1. Great and gallant days they were. Many new aces, many empty places. Victory, victory, death, victory, victory. Ever-increasing fleets of fortresses and liberators pressed relentlessly onto their targets. Whenever attacked, they defended themselves with legendary gallantry and effectiveness. If a missed rendezvous or other misadventure, due usually to blinding weather, prevented fighter protection somewhere, they suffered heavy losses. But no American fighter ever failed them because of enemy odds, however great. Never was a mission turned back by enemy action.
Early in August, General Twining called a meeting of our group commanders.
I've called you in today to discuss future air operations against Westing oil refinery. This strategical air force, during the next 3 days, will attack continuously, night and day, with maximum effort against all primaries in the area.
We got over Ploesti, all right, but the enemy gave us a warm welcome. They rammed up more than 45,000 rounds of flak. That didn't stop us. During 3 days of smoky air siege, we lost 30 more planes, 23 to flak. But now we had over 100 Mustangs as escorts. The enemy jabbed, and our 51 swooped into the battle. Hit hard, enemy fighter strength fell apart. Displaying courage far beyond the call of duty, our boys drove the enemy into the ground.
Bomber and fighter losses, though strikingly less than the enemy's, were heavy. But the home front sent us more bombers and fighters, and more well-trained pilots, and our fleets grew mightier by the month. But the enemy first-line operational strength was maintained also. The great air battle of Europe was still undecided. In February 1944, there was a sudden change. Our fighters were ordered to range wider, even at some risk to the bombers, to seek the enemy instead of waiting for him, and above all, to follow him to his destruction. A gigantic fighter battle raged across the European skies with victories by our fighters alone of 60, 85, over 100 destroyed each day. The fight came down from almost invisible heights to the final decision, perhaps only a few feet above the ground. Enemy warplanes of every kind and in fantastic numbers were splashed all over the landscape of northwestern Germany and occupied Holland, Belgium, France. Watch this 190 hit the dust. Battle. Both sides aware of the coming events and air domination itself at stake. Once again, a better cause, better planning and leadership, better equipment, and beyond everything else, the know-how valor of our fighter pilots gave us victory. Only this time it was decisive. So many of his aircraft exploded over his own forests and housetops, or were driven, flaming wrecks, into the ground. So many of his famous fighter leaders met death at the hands of some grimly determined boy from Illinois, or Wyoming, or wherever, that his morale was shattered. His defense plan was smashed. The Luftwaffe cried, "Enough." And the day arrived when a huge 8th Air Force bomber mission with full fighter escort was flown to Berlin and back in good weather without challenge by a single enemy fighter. Quickly now, our long-range escort fighters seized their opportunity. Since the enemy did not come up to fight, down they went to blast his planes to pieces and burn them on his own airdromes all over Western Europe and the very heart of Germany. It was the most savage and devastating fighter ground attack on record. Returning from unchallenged escort duty and on many special missions, they burned his aircraft by hundreds, harried him from one airfield to another. forced on him a degree of dispersal ruinous to his efficiency. His frequently intense light flak, sheets of machine gun fire from flak towers and ground installation caused losses, heavy ones. 4 times as many as the same number of fighters would sustain in aerial combat. These are the films of the victors, and they do not show the cost. But our fighters never flinched, and by their fine courage facing destruction in single-engine planes only a few feet above the ground, 500 miles from their bases, they smashed the heavily concentrated front-line operational strength of the German Air Force forever. These Jerry revetments could be attacked only through the front door. These copied Allied Invasion Day stripes failed to deceive our pilots. The enemy often dispersed his aircraft in the woods fringing his airdromes. Always open season on this kind of sitting duck. Watch this boy reef it around for another crack. The steady, relentless bombing of Germany went on without ceasing. Against the enemy's occasional desperate efforts to intercept, we maintained fighter escort every step of the way. But the sky was ours, and another great opportunity was ours. His teeming, widespread, intricate transportation system. Feeding and supplying the great armies which he counted upon to throw our invasion forces back into the sea. Then something happened. The enemy's roads and railroads were struck with a mighty force of air power. They were tense days, crucial days, and both sides knew it. Our fighters, freed by their bitterly won victory in the air, became a dominant factor on the ground. These Thunderbolts are dive bombers. They strike home. But by far the greatest, the almost paralyzing destruction they inflicted was by the burning, hard-hitting fire of their 50 caliber guns. They exploded locomotives by the thousand and burned freight cars in uncounted numbers. No train in daylight hours was safe. No marshalling yard a haven. The enemy's desperately needed rail transport system was shattered all over the map. Tank goes up, one of many. No mistaking gasoline when you hit it. Target too small, even a single railroad car. The Hun tried to hide his trains in the woods, but it did not save them. His diversion of traffic to slow-moving barges was no escape. The hail of our fighter fire swept the canals. Flak towers like these cause us lots of damage. They took plenty in return. Radio and radar stations came in for a special beating. Flak and machine gun defense was forced upon the enemy wherever he hoped to move. It was intense. Watch these bursts of light flak. Much of it our skillful pilots knew how to avoid. Some of it cost us grievous losses. None of it turned us aside. Enemy ammunition tried to run the gauntlet in vain. Watch this staff car of a high German officer. Was it Rommel? Could be.
It was at this point that Rommel quit his African command.
For the enemy, the situation worsened. Gasoline shortages reduced air operations. Squeezed into a steadily smaller pocket, they prepared to evacuate planes and key personnel to Sicily. About 20 men could escape in a Junker 52.
High above them, the Allies watched and waited. Something big was coming. The German escape plan was put in motion. Near Tunis rose a group of more than 30 heavily armored Me-109 fighters. They were to escort a large fleet of slow-flying 52s. The hop to Sicily was a shuttle run of about 100 miles, less than an hour. 100 strong, the transport stretched in a long line on the deck, headed for their Sicilian sanctuary.
They didn't get very far. As soon as our 57th Fighter Group spotted them, Captain Jimmy Curl's squad of 13 P-40s dove on the enemy to split them up. We had been chasing Germans since July 1942, but we never had a chance like this famous afternoon. Down below, the transports droned on. If their luck held, the Germans might make a getaway. Their luck ran out. The tail-end Charlies of the long escape line took their chances on getting back to their Cape Bone airdrome. Some of them made it, the hard way. When the attack was over, we had destroyed 58 transports and 18 fighters. Lieutenants Duffy, Powers, and Cleveland each clobbered 5 transports. From then on, we sat over German airdromes and dared the Luftwaffe to come up.
Today, American naval and air strength in the Pacific is greater than ever. In the Battle of Midway, the Japanese have come to know our marksmanship. They've had more lessons in the Coral Sea, the Solomons, the Bismarck Sea. To know our men, too. Men like these, in the traditions of Colin Kelly and Meyer Levin. They will get to know them still better. And their ships have come to know the accuracy of our bomb sights and the force of our anger. Thanks, Mr. Tojo, for letting us see your pictures. Now take a look at some of ours. These are your ships, Mr. Tojo. And these are your subjects, but our prisoners. You remember December 7th, gentlemen of Japan.
big bombers homeward bound, our P-51s drop down for strafing runs, concentrating on definite objectives from here to the enemy coast. Skimming along at maximum speed, the fighters pair off and go to work cutting vital Jap lifelines, blasting away at communications, radio installations, power lines. Swooping down on enemy transportation, railroads, marshalling yards, small suburban factories. Airfields. On to shipping targets. Freighters, fishermen, trawlers, harbor and coastal craft. Destroyer or lugger, it's the same enemy.
Spring of the war finds us on Okinawa, doorstep of Japan. In desperation, the enemy launches mass suicide attacks, called kamikaze or divine wind, for a storm that saved Japan from an invasion fleet in times past. In all, Japan sends more than 2,500 planes out, laden with high explosives, to hurl themselves down on the decks of the fast carrier force. Most are brought down before reaching their targets. Some fulfill the goal of the divine wind. But the task force continues to operate throughout the Pacific and becomes known as the fleet that came to stay. Not one Essex-class carrier is ever sunk, and the Franklin, after bomb hits, explosions, and fires that kill and wound a third of her crew, makes history by sailing 13,000 miles home to New York, the most heavily damaged Navy ship ever to make port under her own power. With the Japanese surrender in 1945, a war ended in which the aircraft carrier had taken the place of the battleship as the spearhead of naval power. Our carriers had been required to cover great ocean areas, and their aircraft to hit targets against the opposition of powerful sea and air forces. This they did.
At the struggling home of housetop altitude, one B-17 with wounded aboard was committed to a crash landing. The name of the ship was My Prayer.
The anniversary battles lost us more men and aircraft in a single day than the 8th Bomber Command had lost in our first 6 months of operations over Europe. We who carried the war 500 miles to the enemy's industrial heart knew better than anyone how expensive it was. We had lost 60 bombers and their crews.
There are remembered names in the mess halls. Major Gerald Johnson, a crack shot. Major Goodson, gallant fighter. Major Dwayne Beeson, great tactician. Captain Eugene O'Neill, one of the best. Major Don Gentili ran up a flaming record. Colonel Don Blakesley, great leader of 4th Group. Major Walker Mahurin, one of the first and best of the great aces. Major Bob Johnson and all his victories. Lieutenant Colonel Gabreski, with a great career. And Colonel Hubert Zemke, famous commander of 56. A score of victories or more on the records of them all.
We in the Air Force know the price of victory. Every battle takes its toll of our planes and men. Our enemies think that we will flinch at the prospect of further casualties and settle for a compromised peace. A compromised peace is the secret weapon of the enemy. Our answer is this. In the skies above these flyers who died, there will be no compromise. In enemy skies all over the world, there will be no peace. Our bombers and fighters will rise in ever-increasing numbers. The roar of our motors, the pounding of our guns, the whine of our bombs. These sounds will never cease until our enemies below are destroyed.
From the battlefronts brought before your eyes. Thrills experienced by our fighting men in the air, on land, and on the sea. Thrills that bring grim warfare close to home. The camera records a smashing defeat of the Mikado's air power in the South Pacific. Here's the greatest camera thrill of the entire action, the complete scene of a Zero's flaming end. Paratroopers make news and camera thrills on every mission. Glider troops, too, are the thrill makers of modern war, riding the big kites that are towed to their targets. Some sky soldiers get downstairs in a hurry. The glider forces coming in for a landing are always likely to make anybody's heart skip a beat, especially when the big kites hit dangerous ground. Some of them have easy landings, but others need plenty of luck. The real thrill is provided by the spectacular and daring paratroopers. Volunteers, every one of them. They like action and thrills, as the camera plainly reveals when a whole regiment takes to the silk in a mass invasion from the skies. The real paratrooper calls this a perfect landing. The motion picture camera has never been closer to the deadly fire of enemy guns than in this thrillingly real episode of savage warfare in a South Pacific jungle. The Jap forces are entrenched in strong dugouts and pillboxes only a few yards away. Here come stretcher bearers with a casualty. The battle increases in fury. Through jungle and almost impassable terrain, our ground forces advance, never knowing when a hidden Jap sniper will fire. Our men meet the test of courage and fortitude in some of the most thrilling land action ever recorded. There's a major general in the front lines. He orders a tank to move up and lead in advance. Now flamethrowers go into action to burn the Japs out of a strong position, and there's no more dangerous job than to stand up under fire so close to the enemy. Within the next few seconds, a Jap hand grenade will burst on the ground directly in front of the soldier with the flamethrower. The battle's aftermath, covering the ground like autumn leaves in a forest swept by the storm. A German camera aboard a U-boat records an attack. The Nazi crew is tense as they come to the surface for another shot. Straight for the target. An American destroyer speeds in to attack. The enemy hears and rigs for diving. Down into the depths to try to escape the oncoming fighting ship. Depth charges are dropped in a deadly pattern. The Nazi is forced to the surface. Immediately, a torrent of gunfire is turned on the crippled sub. It is doomed. The destroyer sends a rescue boat for survivors. And so ends a camera thrill and its aftermath in mid-ocean. Flying further from British bases than the world believed possible, small American fighting planes smashed the Nazi Luftwaffe, their flying fields and ground communications. Railroads throughout Western Europe are paralyzed. A train can't have a foxhole. The bombers, too, have furnished camera thrills, with some of their spectacular missions deep into Germany to smash into ruins the factories producing enemy aircraft. Striking suddenly at remote flying fields, marauding fighters swoop down upon mock Nazi planes. Gun cameras capture thrills on film as other planes are torn into flaming wreckage in air battles over the Reich. Machine gunners on big bombers boost the score, but the fighter planes rule the air and leave destruction on the ground. Robots over France are direct targets for our gunners. New weapons of war add to the increasing thrills recorded by intrepid cameramen. Now the camera catches a disabled American bomber in a breathtaking, dangerous ground loop. Another accident, this one a tragedy as two dive bombers collide. Watch it again. They hit. There goes a wing. Flaming destruction. But these things are part of the price that is paid for the skill and perfection which has enabled American heroes of the sky to meet the enemy eye to eye, to outwit and outfight him, and to return victoriously from combat with some of the greatest camera thrills of the war.
What Combat Camera does is it specializes and trains specifically for combat environments. We go out into the dirtiest, worst conditions, and we come back with the imagery that nobody else can. We are so focused on the mission that we will give anything to it. We choose this fight.
You know, our guys are designed to not be a liability on the battlefield. They're designed to be there to document what's going on, give the commander the information he needs, and if they need to, they can sling that weapon up and become part of the fight, and then immediately go back to taking the documentation and imagery that the commander needs.
And by having Combat Camera here with your professionalism, the video and the stills y'all provide, y'all have taken thousands of pictures for us over the last couple of years. We've enjoyed working with you, and what it's done for us, it allows us to tell a story in a way we just couldn't anywhere near that quality without Combat Cameras.
If nobody's there to capture the events like you guys, like Combat Camera, then it goes unnoticed. We need guys like you to bring it to the public, to show what we do and how we do it.
We might be called Combat Camera, but we do more than support just combat type operations. In downrange or contingency environments, we are able to support information operations by providing an imagery capability.
I am the Tactical MISO Detachment OSC. Taking Combat Camera with us to take still photographs can be very important for us. Having Combat Camera to provide additional imagery to parlay that into eventual MISO products. We can use that imagery, whether it's in still pictures or maybe in video products, we can use that as well. Combat Camera has helped us It's been a great collaboration throughout, and it's one that I think hopefully will continue.
Our combat cameramen and women are able to provide imagery for things like humanitarian efforts, just like we did during Hurricane Matthew when it hit down in Haiti.
We were on the ground within 2 days of being notified that we were going, and produced imagery of the actual supplies that came in and delivering them to the communities and helping people who were affected. Our leaders can't be everywhere all the time, and that's the benefit of having a combat camera squadron. Our bags were already packed.
Our ability to be ready comes to us being prepared for any mission at any time. So our aerial program in combat camera allows us to be a dynamic force. Not only can we cover ground missions, but we can also cover missions in the air. It allows us to jump into any aircraft that the Air Force has as long as it has a back seat. So this could be anything from a fighter platform to a cargo or to a refueling platform. By being able to do that, we can tell the Air Force's mission, which is to fly, fight, and win. And how better to do that than by doing aerial missions.
So combat camera is an operational directed imagery capability, and our day-to-day is derived from the missions that we get assigned to. Everything that we do is set for these operations. And when we're not out there actually capturing the story, we're back here honing our skills in preparation to get back out the door.
I will test the limits of my body.
You got this, bud. Let's go, kid.
I'm choosing this because I care about this. This is important to me. It's hard for people who don't do the mission to understand why we're spending so much time on this.
We train constantly on things like weapons and tactics training, close quarters battle, night vision imagery, combatives. This is also we can not only capture the mission, but be a well-prepared asset to the team that we're with.
So for me, ComCam is the chance to be at the tip of the spear. It's fulfilling to be able to know that you're part of history.
It's an extremely rewarding job, and I get to work with great airmen who are extremely skilled, whether that's photo, video, and overall storytelling.
So at the end of the day, our job is to train to get out the door, document the mission, and tell the world. And we're always ready to do that. As combat camera, that's who we are.